nay. We don't know the hour or the day. Unity is strength, stand as one without delay. Cause no bad vibe me a chant. Me no want no bad vibe me a chant. I just peace the times all around, yeah. No bad vibe me a chant. No bad vibe me a chant. Say me no want no bad vibe me a chant. I just peace the time all around, yeah. No bad vibe me a chant.
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to another episode of Death Taught Us How to Live. We do this each and every week for season 4. I bring on different people from different walks of life of being a stroke survivor just to tell us about their lives and what happened to them. And today is no different. As you can see right now, I have on the screen with me the one, the only, Jason Lopes. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
Oh, man. It's been a rough week, but we're here. You know, I love dealing with this show. I love hearing people's story, and I've been very curious about yours. I've been looking at you for quite a while. I've been looking at you on TikTok, Instagram, and I've been seeing what you've been doing. And I noticed that you did a little lull. You was off for a bit. Then you was like, you know what? I'm coming back strong. I saw you with a powerful camera. Your videos look very powerful. So I want to know who you are, because I know a lot of people know you out there, but for the people that don't know you, can you introduce yourself to us, Jason? Go ahead, sir.
Yes. Well, my name is Jason Lopes. I go by the Lionheart. It's just a nickname from back in the day. I do media. I'm mixed media. Mainly my niche is mixed martial arts, but also I would say a stroke survivor advocate and a martial arts trainer. I do a lot of mitt work, stuff like that. But other than that, I'm just me. I'm recovering. Stroke has been very difficult, so I'm just recovering right now.
Can you tell me the story about your stroke and what actually happened to you on that unfaithful day? Can you break that down for our audience?
Yeah, I can actually. I had a cerebral stroke to begin with. I had it was steroid use. I was training for a fight. It's in 2015, and at my age, I was 34, going on 35, and I was just taking a lot of supplements that I shouldn't have. Wasn't listening to doctors, listening to coaches, and I paid for it. I was born with a hole in my heart. It's called a PFO, and the supplements that I was taking caused blood clotting. So I went from being strong, kind of arrogant, to losing about 75% of my right side with my with vision loss and seizures. And then here I am.
I'm glad you're saying this to us, Jason, because a lot of people look at, working out and, they're trying to get that extra gain. And you're basically saying that you was taking steroid use and also supplement use, and that actually contribute to you having a stroke. So what message do you have for people out there that want to get physically fit and they want to cut corners? What kind of message do you have for them as a stroke survivor?
I always tell people, now that I know what I know, before I wouldn't have agreed with it, but try to be as natural as possible. Steroids, anything like that, just leave it all alone. It didn't help. I mean, it helped just a small percentage, but it wasn't worth it. I'm still dealing with a lot of the situations right now, even with brain freeze, but it's just not worth it. Try to be as natural as possible and just put in the work. Train every day, get on a good diet, and it should work out. Yeah.
Jason, I hear you, and I think a lot of people do hear you. But I look at you now, and I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate. I look at you now, you look great. You know what I mean? You don't look like a stroke survivor. What do you tell the people that see you and it's like, well, yeah, you had a stroke, but you came out looking great? What would you tell them that they don't understand about being a stroke survivor?
There's a lot of hard work behind this. One thing I say, social media is a lie, a lie. So I would put up a lot of things, and you're only looking at a small percentage of things. I don't put up the videos where I have seizures and when I'm throwing up and when I'm in rehab, because I wasn't thinking about that at the time. I don't post anything about my medication. So all you really seeing on social media is the good parts of it. And that's the hard part. There's a lot of behind the scenes recovery that a lot of people don't know about, and they should be more educated about. It bothers a lot of stroke survivors that I know, being judged by your looks and not what's actually going on. It's really, really frustrating, actually.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, brother, because a lot of times people will say to me, Greg, you know, you're playing the stroke thing too much. You know, why can't you do this? You look great. You know, yesterday I saw you doing this. Why can't you do it today? You know, I don't think they understand that these invisible disabilities is much or even greater or the same as those you actually physically see. What do you say to that, sir?
That, I don't know. It's weird to say it. It's just for people to educate themselves and not put their foot in their mouth when they're thinking about it. It's like looking at me from the outside. Even now, I hold my fingers up. One of my hands works, and actually 3 of my fingers don't. I can't feel at all. So it's like it'll move, but just looking at me from the outside, I do move around pretty good, but that's a lot of hours of work, training, rehabilitation, medication, and surgery. Just be more mindful about when you approach somebody with brain injury, that it's not always what you see.
It's amazing, you know, because when you say that, I have the same problem with my left hand too. And it'd be amazing because people want me to hold them or hug them. Like if I'm on a date with a woman, I'm like, nah, go on my left side, go on my right side, because I can't feel you. You know, well, you feel like you're doing a good job. Like, I'm really not. So you have to be really mindful of that. So what are the things that, you know, you can actually tell the audience about yourself that, you know, we feel a little bit sensitive about when it comes to normal? I don't want to say normal, but people that didn't have a stroke will actually prejudge us on that. You'd be like, please don't do that, and, you know, be more kind to us. What are those type of things that you have in your mind right now that you could think of, sir?
Well, I know one of the things I hear a lot about, people expect you to just be completely crippled. I don't know what that is. When I tell people my hand is paralyzed, my face, even right now, I can't feel part of my face, but I don't know what people want. They want to see you in the worst state. And I still can't understand that. But from my perspective, if I have to educate myself on that, it's just, it goes back to that, not putting your foot in your mouth, just understanding what the person is going through. Because I'm starting to learn a lot about strokes, and everyone is different. So I don't even really have an answer on that one. It's not good.
Well, let me drive that a little bit further.
Yeah.
Because I'll just ask you a series of questions and see if this is related to you. Then I will dive more into that particular avenue. So after your stroke, do you see life differently?
Oh, completely. Before my stroke, I was extremely arrogant. I was doing a lot of modeling before, very educated. I come from a pretty good background, but I stayed in a lot of trouble as the same. But I see it completely different because of the helplessness where it put my body in, thinking that I'm strong and everything like that, and having my mother have to take care of me all over again, and having people looking at you, and you're really, really doubting yourself, knowing that you can't do this. What are people judging you from the way you look, from your face, and from my body? And there's so many things that were going wrong. so many. It's the depression. It hit me strong. I had to almost go back to being a child, which is that's been rough. First 2 years was rough.
Thank you. So now you have brought me to the angle that I want to go to. People don't understand the mental toll that actually happens to a stroke survivor, especially a man stroke survivor. You said you was in your 30s, so you was a man already. You already had things in your life that you was ready to do, and you had things that you wanted to do further on down the line. Yes. So I want to bring that up because you touched on something, but you didn't really go into a lot of details. But I want people to understand, like, a grown man in his 30s, 40s, maybe 20s, have to rely on his mother to take care of him, have to rely on his mother to wipe his butt, you know, things like that. That is very demoralizing for a man. So extremely demoralizing. And we have to come out with a straight face, like, we all good, da, da, da. But it's really hard for us because we're trying to become who we were before or even better. So when I asked Jason about, does he see life differently? He understands it. It clicks that he does things with a purpose instead of being arrogant. And when we see other people that doing things that we used to do before, we're trying to help them out, but they don't like to listen to us. So how do you handle that, Jason? Those type of people?
Well, I'm in a couple of mentoring programs, but I help a lot of the younger generation with finance and all kinds of stuff like that. But I try to tell people it could be a lot worse. My situation, that is very humbling, having to have your mother help you get your clothes off the shower and stuff like that. I was no longer in a relationship because nothing worked. Sex-wise, nothing worked. Everything was and I was just completely doubting myself. Suicide wasn't really that far, but humbling is the biggest word I can think of. And it's like I try to teach people, you have to be really mentally strong as a man too. Things can always be worse. Things can happen at any time. So you just have to be positive and try to push yourself and do the best that you can, because I would say our time is limited. Having that stroke made me realize that. And even now, certain things, like right now, the side of my face sometimes gets irritated by the light, but I'm pushing through it mentally. As a man, it's very difficult.
Yeah, I get that. And you said, dealing with a woman and all that stuff, I completely get it. I hang out with some of my friends that didn't have a stroke. I have a lady now, but before, they were like, let's go out. I'm like, all right, let's go out. And then when I go out, they're like, oh, that girl is into you. I'm like, oh, okay, she's into me. That's cool. And then I'm like, okay, talk to her. I'm like, well, I don't have a car. I don't have a job. I don't have my own place to live. I live with my mother. It's a lot though I got to explain to this woman if I want to talk to her. That's a huge toll, because people look at look at you, look at myself, they look like they're strong guys. Like you said, you work out and all that, but you working out for a different reason completely. You're not working out to be the hunk of love on the street. You working out so you can walk tomorrow.
That's where I was at for a lot of time. Yes.
So with that being said, Jason, so let me ask you, you said that's where you were. Are you there today? And if not, what helped you to get past that?
It's funny you say that. I'm still frustrated, and I'm not mentally where I'm at then, but right now I'm more focused. My body is actually working for the first time. The medication they've got me on has got me kind of tunnel vision. So I'm trying to relive that time before I had a stroke, and erase that arrogance. One of the things that's pushing me right now, I had my wife, my son's mother, she passed away, and that hit me hard because I'd been in a few relationships, but trying to recover from a stroke and trying to be in a relationship is one of the most difficult. You're trying to hide who you really are, and trying to deal with another human being is worse. But that took a toll on me. And then trying to start my own business from the ground up, it's hard because your body and your brain is you're just not the same. The mentally breaking point. It's just like I've been in I would say muddy waters many, many times, but I'm not in the same place that I was. Right now, I'm extremely positive. I try to help everybody that I meet. Just not a negative person like I used to be.
First of all, my brother, my condolences. I'm so sorry that you lost your wife.
It's my baby.
That really hurts. That really hits home. I really understand. Not necessarily losing someone, but I lost a marriage after my stroke. So losing one physically, my heart goes out to you, and I really send out my condolences to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
But with that same vein, you like it's like you understand doubly that time doesn't wait for anyone. You have this particular life to live. You have to do everything. So you say you work in the community and you help out people, financial literacy and all of that stuff. But you did say something a little bit earlier. You skimmed over it. but I want you to dive back into it. You was like,
Mhm.
you didn't always did the right thing when you was younger.
No, I
Like
did
you was
not.
in the wrong crowds and things like that. What can you actually speak on with that particular vein for the people that's watching and said, okay, I want to do this. I want to get this fast stuff. I want to be this
Ah,
type of guy. What do you say towards that?
well, this is where it's going to turn if some of the people that know me are watching. I was incarcerated for a while back. Um, Military family, but I kept my foot in the dark side. I was always chasing behind women and chasing behind this. And then I ended up having to serve some time. That kind of messed up my life. And then when I got out, this is where the stroke happened because I was trying to speed things up, trying to catch up to old times with my body and training and everything like that. And I always tell, especially young men, stay away from gang activity, period. Anything like that, when people are leading you in the dark, it's because they're already in a dark place and you don't need to go that way. I had a very successful life. I was in college, like I said, military family, and all of that went downhill. And then I got out and tried to repair it. But I would say backsliding is a good word. I kind of backslid a little bit, and that's what pushed me into having a stroke. And then my son's mother would try to fix things, and then that where's where the rushing came into. And I've actually had 2 minor strokes after that because I was trying to push myself. Everything I'm doing right now is to basically fix the mistakes I've made in the past. This is where, if you get to know me as a person, I'm sincere about helping other people because I've messed up a lot and I know what kind of pain it causes, what kind of mistakes it causes. So if I see somebody and I identify and they are me, I relate to them. Thus, this is where you'll see it. Like, what would I tell my younger self? I help a lot of people because they remind me of bits and pieces of me. That dark life, that dark life is it's not for everybody. Once you get into it, it's a downward spiral. Gang life is not. It's more glorified, but from the inside, it's not good. It's just like having a stroke. It's not even glorified. It's horrible. Try to take care of yourself and try to be better. So weird, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, but let's pause for a second.
Yeah.
Everybody, if you guys are watching this on Instagram and you want to ask questions or comments, anything you want to say to Jason, you're not going to be able to do it. So I advise you to go over to the YouTube channel, AVM Superhero, and go over there and you can ask questions and comments. We open up the floor. Jason will be able to answer all your questions and comments. Just bring them in and we'll answer them guys out.
Definitely.
And if you don't know it, just look at the top of the screen. It says AVM Superhero. That's on YouTube. Just go in there and we're live right now on the 13th of June, 8 p.m. So check us out. Jason,
Yes.
this is a lot, brother. You're giving me a whole lot of information that I'm not sure if I was even prepared for. But being as a Black man in this society, a lot of people want to have an escape route, and that's what their escape route is. And you just gave it eloquently. You just say, hey, it sounds good. It's being glorified in music and TV shows and in movies, but
Yes.
end result, it could be death, it could be jail, or if you're trying to too much and your body can't take it, could end up in a stroke or even heart attack. So you're living proof that that's not the way to do it. But let me ask you something, because a lot of people don't do this part that you're doing right now.
Yes.
They don't want to be advocates. They don't want to be leaders because they're shy, or they don't want their story to get out like that. What was that turning point for you to say, you know what? I don't care about anything else. I just don't want nobody else to go through this. And you put yourself on the front line to help out our society.
It's weird. It's not selfish, but it's not my kids. It's not my wife being deceased. It was when I was incarcerated, one of my bunkies, he had 2 life sentences for murder. He was never going home. And he had lost all his family. He's lost everything. But he looked out for me like I was a son to him. He educated me under the system, everything like that. And he told me to make him a promise so he could live outside. He says, to all the negative things that you were doing before you went in, before you did all of this, do it positive. For me, he's like, so I can live and you send letters back to me, send pictures like that. And he's like, it's harder for you to do positive things than is to do negative. And I was holding up on that end, and I see where I'm at. I help a lot of people because I think it's harder to be a genuine good person. It's easy to be a bad guy. When I did the steroids, it was easy to do that because it's cheating. And then I saw what happened with that. Everything else that's happened to me, it's like there's a purpose, but that's what's driving me. And it's like I miss that guy. He's a good guy, but he disappeared after a while. It's got to be a rough. I'm sorry, I don't want to take too much of time on it, but it's
no. Go.
2 life sentences and not be able to know that you're going home, and then having somebody writing and sending you pictures and traveling and stuff like that. That's got to be a mind. I look him up on the DOC website to see if he's still around, but he's around. But that's got to be even more mental. So, but that's where my attitude comes from.
but you got to take that back, Jason, because I don't want you to take that in as a negative thing. He told you,
yeah,
he wanted to live through you,
yeah.
So by seeing those pictures, by seeing the things that he messed up at, and he actually transformed your life, so you wouldn't be back in jail anymore, and you're actually living. That's the same thing that you're doing now with these stroke survivors. You're making sure they live. You know how many people have come up to me, and I don't know if you know this or not, but people have DM me. It was like, hey, I want to work out with Lion. I'm like, who's Lion? He's Lion, man. Lionheart. I want to work out with him. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, he's a cool dude. I'm like, all right, that's what's up. A lot of people get inspired by you. A lot of people that are very dead to the world just open up because you, sir, have opened them up. So what you have done is taking that from that guy, and he is touching people all over the world because what he has said to you, sir.
I think about that a lot, and I do a lot for him, but I have the family issue that's pushing me. But it was just the way I think it's the way he put it, because he had done a lot of time already. He had gotten locked up in the 70s, and it was just the way that he had no choice but to have a positive attitude in a dark place. And I use that as motivation. I can't even imagine from the 70s. He was in a bad place, but he was always in a good mood, always making the officers laugh. He's always had something positive, but and I'm like, you know what? The situation I'm in could be a lot worse. I'm like, I lost my girl. It could be a lot worse. I said, the stroke, I survived. I could be dead. It could have been a hemorrhagic stroke. It could have been worse, but I'm still here. And if I can help other people, I think I'll be satisfied when the time comes, when I kick the bucket. If I know that I just helped 1 or 2 people, they actually listen to me, that's a good thing. That's kind of where the arrogance is gone. I'm like, before, I never really thought about it like that.
Brother, I feel exactly how you feel. I'm satisfied when one person says, Greg, you know, what you did helped me out. When you told me your story, being transparent, it helped me out. And something you said a little bit earlier, I just want to piggyback off of that. You were saying that you wanted to speak to people. It was more, it's harder to be real, and it's easy to be fake, to be that gangster. And I'm like, I get that. So I stopped lying. When I became a stroke survivor, I stopped lying. I tell people the truth. You know, if you don't want to deal with it, it's fine. But once I did that, you know, all this burden of trying to be this particular person went out the window, and I didn't have to worry about watching my back because of what I said. I might get hurt by people, but, you know, by what I said, I don't have to worry about that coming back and to bite me. But before we go any further, we got some messages on here, got some comments, questions that, you know, I want to throw at you, brother. So are you ready?
Yeah, definitely.
This is Donna. She says, good night. Oh, she must be from the islands. They say good night when they're talking to people. Good night to you both. Jason, I'm really sorry about your stroke. I know how how you were feeling before my mom died. I was her caregiver, and I tell you, I could see her pain and embarrassment because I was caring for her.
Yes. Oh, that is a rough situation, having that. When you talk about humbling, having my mother care for me, that's one of the things I had to get better, because I couldn't do that anymore. And it's like, and then going to the rehab center. I'm in Orlando, so they had to, and I had to be around these people. And I'm like, I'm not undressing in front of people anymore. I'm not doing any of that. And that is a humbling experience on both sides. And I'm like, it takes a lot to care for somebody. You have to really put aside your ego. And I'm glad that my mother was there for me. Like, a lot of people wouldn't do that. And then I'm like, that's a very humbling thing. And it's taking care of family.
Moms are the best, brother.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
They are the best.
Tupac said, I love my mama. Yeah, definitely.
Got it. Donna has one more comment or remark. She says, chin up, brother. You are strong. God will help you through all this. Thank you for sharing.
Yes. I thank you for that. There's a guy I'd speak to. He's a pro fighter, Bubba Scheffel. He's always preaching. I could be in the worst mood, and I'll always go to him and ask him, and he's always has a scripture from God that answers exactly what I'm going through. And I'm like, my beliefs are starting to really turn in that direction, but I'm always thanking this guy. So if you're listening, Bubba, I'm thanking you for helping me with your scripture and his knowledge of the word. But with God, I believe that. And I was going to say thank you for listening, Donna. I like that.
That's what it is, brother, and I don't know if this happens for you, but I know for me, sometimes I get jaded by doing this stuff because I hear so much horror stories. I hear so much things and it weighs on me. But hearing people tell me that it's inspirational, they're educated by this stuff, they want to learn more because nobody's really teaching it, that makes me get up and do more. Do you feel that same exact way, sir?
Yes, especially with a stroke. I've the education that I've been learning, I'm like just finding out, what is it, 800,000 people have a stroke every year. There's just so much that I'm learning that I didn't know just on a particular thing with a stroke, the hemorrhagic ischemic. I'm not stupid, but it's ignorance is what I call it. I just had no knowledge of something, but I'm learning a lot, and it's helping me have more empathy for people, being around people that can't help themselves, being around the situations that I've been in. I'm like, I think the stroke was necessary. I hate to say that sometimes, but I'm like, it made me a lot better person. Incarceration was still kind of a dick. So, and I'm like, now this has helped me to open up, and I've really had time to sit back and think. So.
Jason, we got a lot of people on Instagram, but unfortunately, I can't bring the Instagram questions over. Yeah. So I'm looking at it. So I'm having a question I'm gonna read to you right now. This is from Erin Dunn. Her question is, Jason, how long after your stroke before you started pushing yourself to exercise again? And how do you know how hard to push and not push? Do you understand the question, Jason? I think Jason got frozen up for a second. I know for myself, and I'll wait for Jason to come back on. I know for myself, what happens for me is that I understood that there was a time that I shouldn't do anything because I get dizzy. You back, Jason?
Sorry. Yeah, the screen went, froze on both ends.
But did you hear my question? Yeah, we're good.
No, I didn't get to hear it. No.
All right, the question from Erin Dunn was, when did you start pushing yourself to start exercising again? And how do you know when to start or when to stop pushing yourself?
Well, I've actually, right away, I was actually kicked out of the hospital because they have the security bunks. They have you're not allowed to, they have an alarm. And so I was actually trying to get up and exercise, even though I couldn't talk, couldn't use my right arm or my leg. So it was right away. And I've always had that, being strong. I've always worked out, and I have like this warrior mentality. So it was right away. I know they say about having a stroke, they tell you to wait and take it easy, but I think it's within the first 2 to 3 months is when you really need to push it. That's when you get the best recovery system from your brain and your body. I think after that is when the body starts slowing itself down. So I recommend to all stroke survivors in the beginning, push it as hard as you can without going overboard.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. And but you like you said, don't go overboard. You have to know your limits, and I think everybody knows their limits, and I think that is the key. But what you do not want to do is be like Jason and be like myself, unless you was like that before. And what I mean by that, Jason was an athlete. I was an athlete. So we know what we wanted to do in our minds. That was already registered within us. If you wasn't that way before, don't look at us and like, I want to be like that. Yeah, you can, but it's a little bit more difficult because we've been practicing that, and our mind already has that trigger within it to actually say to do it.
Yes.
But do not get yourself disappointed if you just can move your little finger. If you only can move your finger today, keep on moving it. Sooner or later, you might get 2 fingers to work.
Yes, you did something good. I tell people all the time,
as hard as you can. Go ahead, sir.
No, I said I tell any little thing is good. I actually got a tip. One of the things that helps with neurological recovery is video games. I wasn't really big into video games, but I picked them up, and my hand, like I said, I've lost feeling, but I didn't have any feeling in my hand, and I was just pushing the button and slamming it with my palm. And then one day my thumb started working, and then my eyes started focusing on neurological issues. And now they're starting to do a lot more studies on video games. I would say anything is good. Yoga, I always recommend yoga and walking. Those are the things that I've never stopped doing. But being an athlete, you're right about that. It's in you. That's ingrained in you. So that stopping that, I had to get up.
Yeah, I get it. Like for me, I couldn't walk when I first had my stroke, and I used to play basketball every day, and all I think about, I have to keep my feet wide because that's the best base. Because if I keep my feet closed, I could fall over. But I know if I'm wide, it's going to be harder for me to fall over. So I kept on thinking like, stay wide, stay wide, stay wide, stay wide, and then all of a sudden I was able to walk. But that was in my head. I had a thought about it because honestly, when we walk, before you even have a stroke, you don't think about, hey, how do you walk?
Yeah, never.
When you have a stroke, you really think about it. How do I walk? How do I get up? How do I sit down? Do I lean over? How do I do my center of balance? You don't think about that until you have a stroke, and you got to learn how to walk again. So being an athlete, that helped us out.
It is weird. Yeah, but I mean, that's you hit the nail on the head right there with that being ingrained in you. There's a lot of people that I see that they want more results, but I always ask them, were you doing that before? Were you training before? I'm big into capoeira and yoga. So all my exercises are unilateral. So, and flexibility and balance. So when you took away one side of me, I can still use the other side, just like nothing ever happened. So it was easier for me to move around, but it's still been a pain. I don't like, when you say sports, I don't like sitting on the sidelines. That's just me. I get frustrated now. I'm in the gym. I collaborate with this gym, Fusion Excel, and we have these high-level fighters in there, and there's so many moving around. Sometimes I get frustrated because I see all them moving around, and I'm like, I can still do that. And then when I try, I'm good for about a week, and then the right side doesn't cooperate with me, and then I'm out back on the sidelines. So it's a constant battle with your mind and your body. You're always going to have that.
Jason, I want to go back to something. You said something that was pretty interesting. But we breeze by it. You was talking about your neuroplasticity, that you didn't have any feeling in your hand and your thumb, and then all of a sudden your thumb started coming alive. And you said something about video games. I want to say, I agree with that too, because I play video games just because of the movements that you have to do, the processions you have to do. Is there's certain moves you have to do in a quick procession, unless it's not going to work. So I do it all the time just to get my fingers to work properly. So, I get that. That's a good tool to actually use. So I'm glad you brought that up. There's anything else that you can think of that helped you out with your recovery that is not conventional, but it was good for you and you want somebody else to use it?
I would say that was one of the big things. But when I say about not going overboard, I used to do things that were not recommended. Like I actually jumped in a car, and I don't recommend this because I couldn't turn my head. I couldn't, but it seems to, I ended up minor crash because I tried to drive without having the okay. But it seems to be, if you make your body do something, you make your brain, it's almost like almost, when did they say riding a bike? It's like you remember things, and it's hard to explain, but certain things come back, certain muscle memory comes back, not all of it. But if you keep doing certain things, I just kept pushing myself. I would throw myself on the ground until I would catch myself. And that took, I had a minor concussion doing that. So certain things I don't recommend trying, but at the same time, it helped me. So I'm like, I don't know the correct answer on that one. Like, it's weird. When I used to do that, I would fall and throw myself down until my arm wouldn't move. So then I would have to learn to catch myself on my other side. And it's just certain things. And I started getting where my equilibrium was a little better.
See,
then
Aaron,
I started being able to drive. But then I was
Aaron,
like,
do you see what I'm talking about athletes? We do crazy things to actually prove that we could do it. So not necessarily you want to actually do exactly what we're doing, but you want to take yourself to what your threshold is. You know, there was something that I used to do, Jason. I don't know if you did this or not. I had a problem with my focus and concentration. And what I used to do is play these memory games on my phone. It would be like, you know, you select this. You know, you ever seen those ones that you have, it asks you to find certain things in the screen, like it'd be a murder mystery, and it asks you to find the glove, find this, find the cat.
Yeah.
It's very hidden.
Yes. No, those are good.
I would do that to try to focus on the screen so my mind could actually move faster, because there'll be a timer on. If I don't do it in fast enough time, I lose the game. So it was something that I would do to actually help with my focus. Anything like that you actually did?
My thing is, I went back to what I know, books. I'm a huge book reader. I hundreds of books, and I just would sit down and read when I couldn't move around. When I would, I know within the first 4 months, my energy level was horrible. I would sleep. I could easily sleep 18 hours a day. I would get up and just read, because my eyes would be constantly moving back. It was like the rewiring. My neurologist said it's like throwing water on a laptop. He says the laptop is just going to blow up, but you can still replace it, but there's going to be a lot of issues. And that's what my mind felt like. So reading tons of books. Even now I read books constantly. And I'm like, I would say that's probably one of the best things I can recommend for somebody. Not books, pick up an audio, get audiobooks, get something focused for your mind to stay focused on. But that's one of the hardest parts. Mine was self-doubt. I don't know if you've had a lot of problem like that with.
Oh, I feel like I was inadequate, brother.
Yeah, one of the things with women, I don't know if you've had this issue. It's kind of rough to say, but in the first 2 years, the lower half wouldn't work. The medication, and I think that was one of the worst mental things I've ever had in life. Luckily, I already had children, so I was like, it's not working. I said, please don't. I would say, please, God, don't do this.
I know that's right. I didn't have that problem, but I understand about feeling inadequate just because you can't walk right. Like, I would walk into certain places, I see a beautiful woman, I'm like, yeah, I want to talk to her. So I try to act all strong. Then all of a sudden I'm starting limping.
Yep.
Like, oh,
I've been through that.
Yeah. All right, I got another comment. Donna is our #1 participant for our comments tonight. So I thank you so much, Donna. But here's what she's saying. She said, when my mom had her stroke, she was in her late 70s. Couldn't walk or talk. Right side was dead. Then one day she sat up, then walked and talked a little. You are young. You will get there bit by bit. I like that she actually said that, because a lot of people look at this and like, you know, I'm completely over it. And what Jason and I've been preaching is like, you need to move on, keep on going. Like he's saying in his first year or so, that's what you said. You get weaker if you don't use it. You don't use it, you lose it. So
yes, that's one thing I'm learning. Some people give up within that first year, and I'm like, don't quit. I said, I've been in the rehab centers. And I've seen some of the people just sit there and just refuse to get up and exercise. And I said, take advantage of that. I'm as somebody that's been training, it's muscle memory. Your body is going to get up. It may not be as fast as you would like it, but I tell people don't. But I see a lot of people quit. Even now, talking to some of the people on Instagram, a lot of them are frustrated that they're not where they want to be. Some of them, I was talking to somebody the other day that wanted kids, and he's like, I don't think I can ever have kids because I can't move around and I can't do this. And I'm like, I tell people, try not to focus on that. The age helps too. My neurologist said it. Me being younger and athletic helped me recover. The older you are, you have a harder time, but it's still not impossible. I'm like, I don't know if you've seen Sinbad just had a stroke, and he's doing much better before, and now he's starting to move around and walk around. But it just depends, and I wish I had the answer for everybody on how to recover, but I don't, because everybody's body, just like training, everybody's body responds differently. Everybody has a different type of stroke, and everybody's recovery time isn't the same. So it sucks that I don't have all the answers for that.
But you kind of do. You just, you breezed over it. But it's more about it's beyond physical at this particular point.
Yeah,
it's mental, and if you're mentally stable enough to recognize, yes, I had a stroke, and you start living your life in a purposeful way, you might get your body back, you might not. But your mental state is like you're getting back your self-confidence. You're becoming adequate as a person in society. And if those things doesn't happen for you, like you can't walk again, you have learned to make yourself stronger mentally so you can move forward. But if you're mentally not well and you're depressed all the time and you say life sucks, most likely 100, maybe 95%, you will never walk again because your mind is telling you that you can't do it.
Yeah, you're very right about that. That's one of the things, self-defeating. I see a lot of people defeat themselves way before they even start. And I'm like, try to be positive. You see me on my Instagram posts, I'm always like, keep pushing. It could be worse. I follow a lot of people that are very motivating. This is like guy, Nick Santos. He was born with no legs and one arm, and he has he has two fingers on one hand, but he's a millionaire, motivational speaker, beautiful girlfriend, beautiful house. I said, you got no excuses. You wake up, get up, do it. I try to be on some David Goggins type stuff. I'm like, get up. Yeah, just get up, carry the boats. It's like, exactly. However you have to do it, but don't feel sorry for yourself. Also, I would say last minute with that, a lot of people are using social media, and I feel bad for them because they're watching and comparing themselves to other people. Social media is just not real. Just like I did, I posted a lot of the good parts and I didn't post the bad. So people are following the wrong stuff.
Right. And I'm that's a great note to actually end with. And I'm really appreciative that you actually spoke that way. I feel that people got to stop looking without and start looking within to understand how to actually heal themselves. And healing doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to be the person that I was before physically. Yeah. Healing means that your mind is right. Your mind is better. Your mind is much stronger because with your mind, you can accomplish anything. I realized before, and you say the same thing at the beginning. I realized before, I had a lot of money. I had multiple cars, first class flights, all inclusive resort, going all over the world, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't good with myself. Yeah, I wasn't good. Now I could barely do the things I want to do. I don't have complete feeling in my left arm. My feet hurt all the time, but I'm happy. I'm at peace.
That's where
I'm loving life right now, brother. I'm loving life. I love it because now I'm more focused on what is important, not the superficial stuff. Jason, we're at the end of our show, but at the end of the show, I do my hot seat questions. So this is time for our hot seat questions. This is the time that I ask you about 5 or 6 questions about things about stroke recovery and things that you want to leave to other people. This is the time to actually say it, Jason. And
Okay.
also, at the end of the show, I want you to close out any information that you have for us, any motivational quotes, any way that we could find you to actually follow you and see what you're doing.
Okay.
Anything, the show will be yours. So are you ready for your hot seat questions?
Yeah, I think I got it.
All right, sir. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you these questions. And when you're done, keep them short, about 30 seconds. No more than 30 seconds. I want to make them into reels. After 30 seconds, after you finish with your results, just say, Gregory, I'm ready for my next question. Are you ready, sir?
Yes, sir.
Let's get it started. How did you get past the darkness?
That I'm still in the darkness. So that is a good question. I'm still in the darkness. I'm trying to get out, but I'm every day getting closer and closer, but I'm still in it. So that's a touchy situation, but I'm still positive. Everything is doing is positive thoughts, but I'm still in the darkness. Like my next question, Greg.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What was the hardest part of your stroke recovery?
The hardest part of my stroke recovery is dealing with the seizures. For 2 years, I was having a seizure every day until I had an angioplasty to relieve the pressure, and then they put me on Keppra. That was the hardest part of my recovery. What is the next question, Greg?
Well, I'm glad you asked me, sir. Question number 3. What advice would you give someone in their first year of stroke recovery?
Try to find someone that's going to be there to help push you. Keep pushing yourself. Find everything. Eat positive. Eat clean. Stay positive, and try to get as much help as you possibly can in the beginning stages. And don't dwell on woulda, shoulda, coulda. I think I got that. What is the next question?
Okay, sir. Since you asked, I'll give it to you. What do you want people to know that is not easy for a young stroke survivor to explain?
That's a good question. What's hard, you can't explain brain injury to somebody because I think it's the fact that no two brains are alike. So you can't make someone else understand what you're going through, but you have to calm yourself down enough to make people realize what you're going through. If that makes any sense. It's kind of a little awkward question, but what is the next question?
Okay, sir. I don't know if it was awkward or not, but hey, we'll go with it. Number 5. What misconception do people have about stroke survivors?
Oh, that's a good one. That it can only happen to older people. I see that a lot. Stroke can happen to anyone at any time. It doesn't matter what your age, doesn't matter how healthy you are. A stroke can happen. I would say be mindful and educate yourself more on that. Let's see, what is the next question, Greg?
Okay, sir. Since you asked for it, here's the final question. Number 6. What did the threat of death teach you?
The threat of death taught me to really understand and try to accept everything how it is. Try to be positive and kind and take every moment like it's your last, because you don't know when it's your last. That's one thing what death taught me. Say, I like that one. Yeah, that's it.
Jason, you're off the hot seat. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on to the show and giving us your knowledge and your experience about stroke surviving, and also how you give back to the community. So at this particular time, sir, I'm going to leave and let you close out the show and bid everybody good night.
I was going to say, thank you for having me, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
All right. Well, I'm going to say thank you for listening. For everybody that's out there, you can find me, Lionheart Lopes, on all the pages of Instagram and TikTok. That's my mixed martial arts name. You check it out. I'm pretty sure he's going to put everything in the link. But I was going to say thank you, everyone, for listening, taking your time. Stay positive. Don't dwell on the negative. Keep pushing yourself. Always remember, it could be worse. As long as you woke up, you're good. I think that one's good.
All right, everybody. I bid you guys good night. Thank you so much for watching and actually participating with us. Let us know anything that you want to know, or any people that you want to see. Comment me, let me know, and I'll try to get them on our show. Jason Lopes, thank you so much for coming on Deaf Taught Us How to Live. You are a godsend. You are a person in the community that we really look up to. I really appreciate you, brother. Keep on doing what you do. Do not stop. I want you guys to have a good night. Thanks, Jason. Thank you, everybody. AVM Superhero out.
All right. Awesome stuff. I'll see you. Let's see. I like it.